Hey friends, what's up? Today we are doing a look through of my physical TBR. I have kind of been avoiding this because I feel like it's been so messy and it's been growing so much lately. Hey, what's up? My name's Elise. Welcome. I'm so happy to see you and that you guys decided to check out my channel. Let's be friends. Let's talk about books. And with that, let's just get started. This whole top shelf is the shelf of books that I really want to read soon. So the rest of them kind of follow like a color scheme, but these are the books that I want to read as soon as I can. So I keep them up top. Okay, let's swoop in here. First and foremost, we have the Twisted series. Now, recently I did finish Twisted Love. I have bought this series because I heard so many great things and because I am doing a reading vlog where I read the rest of this series. Oh, by the way, this is my shelf of books that I have read except for the entirety of this series. I have read 6 books in this series, so the rest of them I have not. I will go over that in just a little bit. Then I got the Scythe series for a gift for Christmas. This is kind of a dystopian society. Actually utopian, where people are healthy, they live for a really long time and people aren't dying, so they end up having to have grim reapers come so that people can continue to live in this society and have enough space. Then we have the Inheritance series. This follows a girl who randomly gets an inheritance from this billionaire. She has to live in his home for a year with his family that he like disinherited. Puzzles and games and mystery. I do plan on doing a reading vlog of that, so look forward to that. I have so many videos planned, you guys. Then we have A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. Witches are supposed to be separated because of their powers, and someone asked her to come and teach 3 orphan witches, and this guy is kind of the keeper of this orphanage in this house, and he really doesn't want her to be there. He knows how dangerous it is. Then we have In 5 Years. This woman has the perfect life, goes to sleep, and 5 years later everything is different. She has like a different life. Then we have 1,000 Miles. This follows a couple who used to be friends. They haven't talked in forever and ever and ever. One of the family members dies and they go to dig up an old time capsule that they put together. So obviously they have to go a really long way to get there. Then we have The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. Quick rundown, very introverted, secret family that she had no idea about. She has to get out and get to know them and figure out what's more important, books or other people in her life. Get a Life Chloe Brown, a chronically ill computer geek meets a bad boy to try and help her fulfill a list of things that she wants to do so that her life is no longer boring. The Simple Wild. Kala finds out her dad, whom she has not lived or talked to, is ill and goes to Alaska where her mom escaped to get to know him and his pilot who is keeping his business afloat, and then kind of lives this like parallel romance as her mom did. I did not explain that one very well, but small town romance, enemies to lovers, forced proximity, Alaska. Love in Other Words, possibly Christina Lauren's most classic popular book. They were best friends and lovers at one point in the past, and now they are no longer together or talking, and so we go back and forth between the 2 timelines to see what happened and where they go from there. Funny You Should Ask was on 2022's Goodreads Best Romances of the Year, so I really wanted to give it a try. This one girl is a journalist, and so she does this piece on this one celebrity dude, and his career is rising, but then 10 years later it's crashing, so he wants to do another piece with that same girl. Hopefully it'll help his fame rise again. And I hear they go on a bunch of adventures, which sounds fun. X's and O's is Amy Leah's second novel. It follows Tara, who is a bookstagram influencer. How freaking cute is that? But she cannot find love despite being a romance influencer. So she goes to all of her exes and tries to see if she can find her second chance romance with the help of her roommate, Trevor, who's a firefighter. Next, we have Gunkle, who is gay Uncle Patrick. He kind of inherits his niece and nephew whenever a tragic accident happens to their family, and so he has to kind of learn how to handle being a new guardian and his kind of life, which is in chaos and shambles, and deal with his grief and like having kids to look after. Then we have Archer's voice. Archer is this man who's had a terrible history and he does not talk. And this one girl, she goes to the town and somehow they have like this really great connection. And I don't know if he talks to her, but like she is the only person who's like able to connect with him after all of this time. Then we have The Roughest Draft by Emily Wibberley and Austin Sigmund Broca, which are a married couple that write books together. These two people of the story are married authors. They are not seeing eye to eye. They still have one book left on their contract, and so their company sends them on this retreat to finish the last book where they're like gonna be sued or something. So they go and they're like writing it. And I wonder if they wrote this book while they're writing it. I thought that would be kind of cute. Okay, The American Roommate Experiment, which is the second book kind of in the series by Elena Armas. She also wrote The Spanish Love Deception. I believe one of these people comes to New York. I believe he comes to New York and stays there unbeknownst to her. And so there's like forced proximity. They kind of get to know each other, go on a bunch of fun adventures together. Also on the list for best romances of 2022. We have The Sunken City by Emma Villarnoez. It's kind of like an Atlantis retelling with a love triangle. Look at this cover. Freaking stunning. Legends and Lattes follows an orc who is a mercenary and no longer wants to be a mercenary and opens the first coffee shop in this intergalactic community. The Charm Offensive is kind of like a reality TV show where this dude's trying to find his love. This dude's like maybe a producer, behind the scenes guy. They end up falling in love. Spoilers, sorry. Delilah Green doesn't care. Delilah is coerced into being a photographer for her cousin's wedding and ended up meeting Ashley, and Ashley and Delilah used to know each other and things ensue. Loveless by Alice Oseman, super raved about an asexual person who's off to college and learning about friendship, loyalty, balancing life, and love. Remarkably Bright Creatures follows Marcellus, which is a giant octopus in this one aquarium, and the lady who cleans his aquarium, who is Tova, but Marcellus like knows some things about the mysterious disappearance of Tova's family members. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty is also on the 2022 Goodreads romance books. This one seems like a wild adventure. It's a story of grief, learning to live life again after everything changes and you lose a loved one. There's some romance and I'm here for it. School for Good Mothers. Frida just has like this really bad day and kind of forgets about her daughter because she's a single mother and does not have a lot of support. This kind of big brother organization comes and is like, I'm gonna teach you how to be a good mom or you can't have your daughter anymore. The Woman in Cabin 10 is about a woman who goes on a cruise ship and is about to write like this one piece about it, and then she swears she sees a woman being thrown overboard, but then the next day everyone aboard is counted for. Something is going on in Cabin 10. Luna Out of Order is about this one lady who once she turns 18, she never lives the next year consecutively. On her 19th birthday, then she wakes up and she's 35, and then the next year she wakes up and she's 47, and the next year she wakes up and she's 21. Sounds interesting. The Dinner List is about a woman who is having her 30th birthday, and you know that question where they ask, if you could have anyone come to your birthday or come to dinner with you, who would it be? All of the people that you want to have dinner with come to her birthday dinner, including her ex and Audrey Hepburn. Okay, moving on a shelf. Next up, we have Love and Color by Bolu Babalola, which apparently is a bunch of mythical tales, not from like necessarily Europe, but I think from Africa. They are retold kind of like as love stories. Then we have the Magnus Chase series. I know that it connects with Percy Jackson's series. He is the cousin of Annabeth, but this is about Norse mythology instead of Greek mythology. Then also from Rick Riordan, this is the Trials of Apollo. I still need to get the 5th book in the series. At the end of the Heroes of Olympus series, Apollo does some things and gets cast down to be a human, and he has to do a bunch of trials to prove that he can be a god again. Then we have Jojo Moyes, Me Before You, where Luisa gets hired to help a man who is wheelchair and bedbound, and he kind of wants to not continue his life, and so she tries to show him about having a life worth living. The Undomestic Goddess is a woman kind of running away from her life because things aren't going as planned. She stops to get directions and ends up getting hired as the housekeeper instead. Then we have The Astonishing Color of After. This is about a girl who loses a family member and then goes on this trip to kind of remember what her life was like. Then we have Breathe and Count Back from 10. This is about a young girl who has hip dysplasia or something of that sort, and she wants to be a mermaid, but her family is very against it and thinks it's improper. Then we have Float, about a girl who's from Alaska. Her parents are going through a really bad divorce and she gets sent to Florida where it's very sunny, very hot. She doesn't know how to swim, and so it's kind of like found family, learning to find her own adventure. Then we have Regretting You, which is about a mother and a daughter who are like not getting along, and some of the people in their life, boys, who I guess help them deal with that situation. Dear Mr. Knightley is about this one girl who gets a scholarship or like sponsored to go to college, but all she has to do is write letters to this Mr. Knightley person detailing her progress. How to Fake It in Hollywood is a story about a man who is kind of an alcoholic and losing his fame, and this woman, I guess they end up fake dating to help his reputation. Songbirds, I don't know much. I won this in a Goodreads giveaway, but I do know that it is like a mystery of like a missing person. Also, the cover is stunning. Next, we have Secrets of Serotonin, and this is literally about serotonin, what you can do to get it, how it affects your body, the science behind it. Then we have Little Fires Everywhere. I hear this is very dramatic about a woman who moves into this neighborhood, and this is a very tight-knit neighborhood, thinks they know what everything should be like, and things get revealed and things happen that shouldn't happen. Crazy. My boyfriend let me borrow this, so technically it's not mine, but A History of the World in 6 classes. It's apparently a history of the 6 most infamous liquids that we consume, how they came to be, how they were made, and how they've affected our world. Then we have 20 Wishes, which is about a woman who is 38 years old and does not have the life that she wants, so she gets with this one group of ladies who write 20 wishes, and they start trying to make those wishes happen. American Housewife is a collection of essays that women have written in a satirical way about what it's like being a housewife in America. Unforgettable. I honestly don't even know. Some of life's trickiest steps happen off the dance floor. So there's dancing. It's a cozy romance set in Texas, I believe. Then we have Sundance in Sundance, Wyoming. It says, Love Finds You. Angel Ramirez is tired of living a lie, but can she live like a lady? So I guess she is like a country western gal, and they want her to be a lady and probably find a husband. In the penalty box, I think it's like a hockey romance. The Horse Dancer by Jojo Moya is a quintessential Jojo Moya's novel about a lost girl and her horse, and how even the smallest choices can change everything. Honestly, I saw that there was a horse on it and I bought it because I love horses. Like, I'm still a horse gal at 28. A lot of girls grow out of it. I don't. The Help is a story about these women of color who are very intricately working with these white families, and like the behind the scenes and what is really going on and being said, and just their take on it, which apparently was really new at the time when it was published. Then we have Believe It, which is the story of how the woman who created IT Cosmetics came to be, just like a memoir of that. Then we have Lisa Kleypas's Devil's Daughter. I honestly don't know what that's about, but if I can find it, I'll put a little flash of it up here. Then we have The Paper Palace, which I hear is kind of like a dual reality situation where this lady goes diving under the lake and finds this abandoned house to be alive and real. So she kind of makes a life and has to decide between which reality she wants to continue and be hers. Then we have The Unexpected Everything. I believe this is a YA book about a girl who has a father who was in a political scandal, and she has to live with him. So I think she has to deal with learning to be in the public eye and finding a road for herself and figuring out how to handle all of that scrutiny. Okay, moving on to the greens. We have Darling Girl, which is a retelling of Wendy Darling. It's like the ancestors of Wendy Darling. Her great-granddaughter or granddaughter is like taken away from her sickbed and like disappears. So she goes on this journey to find out what happened to her, although she thinks like Peter is involved. Then we have California, which is like speculative or dystopian kind of situation where all of these people are living in these compounds. I think some sort of disease or like maybe zombies happened. This couple has to decide who they trust, especially with their unborn daughter coming along amongst these organizations that people live in now. Then we have The Sea of Trolls, which is either like a middle grade novel or a YA novel. These trolls like come and like snatch people from their ships or from their towns. They kind of like go on this journey over the sea and are enslaved by some of the trolls. In a Holidays is by Christina Lauren. It's about this girl who is going to the last time that her family will ever meet at this beloved cabin, and she's just like not having a good time in her life, and then she crashes, and so I guess she gets the opportunity to live those days again to kind of like fix the situation to where her family can keep going there. At least that's my theory, but it didn't spoil anything. Look Me in the Eye is a memoir about a man who has grown up and has Asperger's syndrome, and how he's kind of gone through life and what he's learned from it and all some of the cool things that he's done. What Alice Forgot is about a woman who has amnesia, and she thinks that she's in the past 10 years ago, but that past that she remembers is not true. She has to piece together what happened to her, what memory she lost, and why her current now isn't what she imagined it would be. Next we have Beartown by Frederick Bachman, and this is a story about a small community with an ice rink and a hockey team that is set to compete in a very high competition that could really change the fate of a lot of people in their town. Then we have Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and this is about a mom who just like kind of disappears and why she did it and where she ended up going. If I'm being really honest, I don't remember what this book is about, but I remember it exploding a couple of years ago and I got it on sale at a resale store. I'll put a blurb right here and you can pause and read it. The Summer of Lost Letters is like very summer vibes. Obviously it has to do with people who wrote letters to each other. Moving on, we have The Novice, and this is a guy who like summons demons to help him. Apparently they're very misunderstood. There's a really cool magic system. I bought this, heard it was really awesome, and so I waited until more of the series is out. So hopefully I'll be reading this soon in a future video where I read fantasy books for a week. Then we have We Were Liars, apparently about this family that are liars and something is revealed. I saw it on sale. It's really short, so I'm like, why not? Then we have Less. It says, Who Says You Can't Run Away From Your Problems? I think it's speculative fiction. It has a Pulitzer Prize. The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary is about this one couple who's no longer together, and then the girl from the original couple is going to her wedding. She's driving there, and on the drive there crashes into her ex, and then he drives her to her wedding. Then we have My Oxford Year by Julia Whelan. This has some like political mystery intrigue going on, and I love Julia Whelan. So Breaking Badger, I won this in a Goodreads giveaway and then realized it's like the 7th book in a series, so I would like to read some more of the original series first. I think it's about like badger shifters or tiger shifters, I don't know. The Secret Bridesmaid is about a lady who is hired to be a bridesmaid at weddings. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. They end up coming together during the summer and learn a lot about the world and themselves and each other. Wuthering Heights. Please don't judge me, but I honestly don't know what Wuthering Heights is about. I just know it's a classic and I know that I should read it. A lot of things are kind of based on it. I'll get there eventually. Then we have Sense and Sensibility about these two sisters. I hear it's kind of fun and flirty about two starkly different sisters. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is a historical fiction, I believe, about World War II. That does not do it justice, but it's the quick wrap up of it. Next we have A Little Life. I just hear that this follows a group of friends throughout a lot of their lives. The good, the bad, the ugly. Then we have I Miss You When I Blink. This is a series of essays and short stories. Like a pep talk from a sister, this funny, poignant, and deeply affecting essay collection full of spot-on observations about home, work, and creative life affirms that multiple things can be true of us at once, and that sometimes doing things wrong is the way to do life right. Then we have Boyfriend Material. One of them is like a prince or a future politician or politician's son. One is a rock star. I think they fake date. Winter Keep is the 4th book in the Graceling series. Blue is still queen from the 3rd book, and she has been sending people to this place called Winter Keep, and no one has been returning, so eventually she decides to go there herself and find out what's happening. Then we have All Your Perfects, which is about two imperfect people coming together in an imperfect relationship, as usual. Marrying Winterbourne is a continuation of the Winterbourne series. I honestly don't know who this one is about. Reese Winterbourne and Helen. Cool. Then we have First Star I See Tonight by Susan Elizabeth Phillips. I've read a few of her books and loved every single one of them, and so I don't even know what this is about, but I trust Susan Elizabeth Phillips. Cemetery Boys is a story about someone who can summon ghosts. Yeah, Adriel is trying to prove that he is a real brujo, and so he tries to find the ghost that murdered his cousin and set it free. And it said summons The school's resident bad boy. Sounds fun. We have Catching Stars. This is about someone who is wrongfully imprisoned in this world and needs the help of witches to get him out. Then we have Serpent and Dove. Bound as one to love, honor, or burn. Then we have Kingdom of the Wicked. I believe this is kind of like a retelling of Persephone and and Hades. So we'll just ship them together for Sadie's. I love that. So we have more witches. I'm so down for these witches. Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked, who are princes of hell, and she's been warned against entail since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, but when it comes to the wicked, nothing is as it seems. Then we have Sky in the Deep, which is a story about these two warring Viking communities. In one of the communities is this girl's brother who she thought was dead. So obviously something's going on, and then so she needs the help of that guy's best friend to make sure her brother does continue to be alive and to kind of end the war between their communities. Beasts of Prey. One night, Kofi, an indentured beast keeper at an infamous night zoo, unexpectedly unleashes a dangerous, untamed power that has been secretly brewing within her for years. Ekon is meant to stop Kofi, but instead she saves him. They strike a bargain, they team up and capture the Shatani. But once the hunt begins, it quickly becomes unclear whether they are the hunters or hunted. Then we have Midnight Ride, which is about cowboys. I believe he is like a rodeo star. Sometimes you just need a good cowboy romance. Then we have The Last Legacy. This takes place within the same world as Fable and Namesake. A captivating standalone about family and blood ties, reinventing yourself and controlling your own destiny. Then we have I Can't Make This Up, Life Lessons by Kevin Hart. I thought it was really fun because I just know Kevin Hart has had to have gone through some really interesting things to be just so funny and clever as he is. And I also really liked that there are like pictures in it. I thought that was so cute. And he had some family photos. Anyway, then we have Children of Virtue and Vengeance. This is actually the second book. This book came across me for free, so I need to read the first one. My brother loves that series. I've heard a lot of really great things from a lot of people, so I really want to read that series eventually. Then we have The Couple Next Door. This couple is seemingly perfect, and then they go next door to their neighbors and they have dinner, and then when they return home, their baby is missing. The Book Thief is told through the viewpoint of Death, about a little girl, Liesel, who is living during World War II and starts stealing books such as the books before the Nazis burned them. And she's sharing these books that she's reading, especially with the man who is living under the house that she lives in. Filthy Lies. On the day I turned 15 years old, I knew I loved James Blakeney. What I never expected from him was a proposal of marriage nearly 8 years later. I know it's not supposed to be a real marriage, but James is certainly making it feel that way. He's also hiding something from me, but I've hidden the truth from him as well. Then we have Highest Bidder. So her dad left her high and dry, and so she's broke, so she's selling her virginity to the highest bidder, and this guy wins it. The Stopover is part of the Miles High Club. A memorable night of passion refuses to stay just a memory in the sizzling and scandalous romance from best-selling author T.L. Swan. So they meet on a flight and have like this whirlwind romance, and then end up kind of coming back together. 1 year later, they end up reuniting accidentally, I believe. Then we have Not Pretending Anymore. This girl is looking for a new roommate and having a really hard time finding anyone. She wants a girl, but all of them are duds. But then this guy shows up. His name is Declan, and Declan is like, let me be your roommate. Very persistent, very charming, very cute. She's like, okay, why not? And then they decide to fake date to make the people that they like jealous or something or other, and then she gets with that guy, and then she's like, oh no, I like him. Then we have Middlesex, which is a book about someone who is born as both genders, I believe, and just the nuances of all of that and what they go through, understanding their body and the society, how it affects them, and all of these things. I've heard really great things about it. Then we have The Fifth Daughter of Thorn Ranch. This is Julia Daly's second book. It's about this woman who is on this giant plot of land in Texas. It's been very untouched, but she goes into this section she's never been in before and finds this secret society and an ancient web of secrets that won't let Emma out alive without a fight. Then we have No Names to Be Given, which is the first book by Julia Daly, and this is about the orphan babies. Their moms were coerced and convinced to give them up as they were born, and the consequences of that and how they are now. It sounds like a non-fiction book, but it's a historical fiction book. Shanghai Girls is the story of these two sisters who are born of immense wealth until their father says that he squandered away all of their wealth and he has to sell them to the best suitor. So as Japanese bombs fall on their beloved city, Pearl and May set out on their journey of a lifetime, one that will take them through the Chinese countryside, in and out of the clutch of brutal soldiers, and across the Pacific to the shores of America. Whew. Okay, next we have Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is a story about a group of children who went to an exclusive boarding school in the English countryside and were constantly told how special they were. So years later, they are adults and they are beginning to look back at their shared past and understand just what it was that made them so special. Then we have 14 Ways to Die. This young girl, her mother was murdered by the Magpie Man. Now, years later, the Magpie Man is still at large. They haven't found him, and she has the opportunity to be on this reality TV show, and she wants to do it so that she can draw in the Magpie Man and catch him. Then we have Tomorrow There Will Be Apricots. This is a story about family and food and mistakes and accepting the people we love. Then we have Dragon Bones, and this is about a couple who are investigators and they get a call to look into this person they find that's dead floating on the Yangtze River in China. Come to find out that some sort of artifact has been stolen from China, and it could just be China's claim to the oldest uninterrupted civilization on Earth. Then we have My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. This is by Frederick Bachman. It's a story about this little girl who used to be best friends with her grandma until she passed away. Her grandma probably had some sort of dementia or Alzheimer's and left her granddaughter the task of taking these apology letters to all of these people in her life. So this little girl is going on this trek and journey to all of these interesting individuals to give them these letters. Then we have The Merciful Crow. Honestly, this was a cover purchase for me, but I will be reading it soon during a week of reading fantasy books, which I'm very excited about because I've been feeling the itch to read more fantasy lately. A Future Chieftain, A Fugitive Prince, A Too Cunning Bodyguard, and One Grumpy Gray Tabby. Then we have Emergency Contact. These two people live their lives in Austin, Texas, and they're just kind of floating by on life. They swap numbers, stay in touch, and become digitally inseparable, sharing their deepest anxieties and secret dreams without the humiliating weirdness of having to, you know, see each other. Then we have Merry Little Meet Cute. This is a man who's kind of having to pivot his acting career, and then this is also a woman having to pivot her adult film star career into a more homely and clean, family-friendly direction. These two are working together on a little Christmas film or something like that. I hear it's really fun. The next book is 1414. I actually won this in a Goodreads giveaway, and I just realized that the book is signed. How cool is that? So this follows the journalist Lou McCarthy, who has exposed a bunch of powerful predators in Silicon Valley. Two of her highest profile subjects are killed on the same night and staged deaths. So she's thrust into the spotlight and she kind of has to figure out what happened to them and like clear her name. Then we have Writers and Lovers. This is a story about a girl. Her mother recently died. She has recently been wrecked by a love affair and she's living in a dingy little house. She is still determined to live a creative life. When she falls for two very different men at the same time, her world fractures even more. The next three books are the next three books in a series called The Program. Content warning, trigger warning. The program was created because suicide is skyrocketing and it is contagious. Whenever these kids start exhibiting signs of this illness, they take them away to the program and they come back basically as zombies. So a lot of kids are just like, if I'm going to the program, I don't want to go to the program. I don't care what the alternative is. That's the first book, and then this is the next three books. I really liked how it was handled, the way that the emotions were really, they were written so well. I was blown away by it, and I really need to get back to reading the rest of the series. The next book is The Alice Network, which is about women in the Great War who are espionage agents. Yay for smart women. Then we have Attack on Royal Mountain. I actually know this man, Brett Jackson. He is the dad of one of my good friends, Austin. I was telling him about how I wanted to be an author. He told me his dad wrote a book, and so I bought it just for supporting a friend. I actually do want to read it. It sounds really funny, and I wonder if I've actually heard some of these stories from his son, so that would be really funny. Next we have Mindful Money. It's just helpful tips about what we should do with our money, what we shouldn't do with our money, and it gives advice for how to do that. Then we have Donna Tartt, The Goldfinch. It says the #1 bestseller about a son, a mother, and a life-changing work of art. Then we have Love and Gelato, which follows Lena, who ends up going to Tuscany for the summer. She doesn't really want to go because her mom passed away, and she and her mom were supposed to go together. That's where her mom went when she was younger, but she finds a journal that her mom had when she was in Tuscany and kind of starts uncovering secret romances, art, bakery, a bunch of different things, and kind of following in her mom's footsteps. Then we have I'll Give You the Sun, and it's a story about twins who kind of have a falling out. They used to be attached at the hip, and then at 16 they barely speak to each other. So we go back and forth seeing what their relationship was like, what it's like now, and how it got there, and maybe if they can fix it. Okay, we have some mass market paperbacks. We have A Week at the Shore. This photographer who's trying to go back to her Rhode Island beach home, but she starts having these resurgence of memories while she's there about a sister. We have Heron's Landing. This is following Brianna, whose family has run Honeymoon Harbor and decides she wants to come back and stay permanently, and then Seth has been working there for a really long time helping to keep it going, but he just lost his wife. So whenever Brianna hires him to convert her aging dream home into a romantic B&B, working together prevents a heart-stopping temptation Seth never saw coming. If I'm reading these too quickly, y'all can just, on the settings, you can make the speed go slower. Then we have It Happened One Autumn. This is my mom's favorite book by Lisa Kleypas, so I'm excited to read it. It is about Lillian, who is an American in England, and it's also about Marcus, who is a very dangerous man, apparently. Marcus is a man in charge of his own emotions, a bedrock of stability. But with Lillian, every touch is exquisite torture, every kiss an enticement for more. Yet how could he consider taking a woman so blatantly unsuitable as his bride? We're gonna find out. Then we have Slow Burn Cowboy, another Copper Ridge novel. This one follows Finn Donnelly and Lane Jensen. That's all I'm gonna say, because it's better if you read the rest of the series. You can read them as one-off, like standalone books, but you know more about the other characters if you read through the series. Then we have Good Time Cowboy. This is a Gold Valley novel, which is like a different valley in a different like town than Copper Ridge, but sometimes they intertwine. So this one follows Lindy Parker, who lost her cheating husband and gained Vineyard. Lightning struck Wyatt Dodge the first time when he saw Lindy Parker, but she was married to his friend, and Wyatt doesn't do strings. A lot of those men don't do strings. Then we have Lone Wolf Cowboy. This follows Jacob, who is a former EMT and wildland firefighter who can't rescue himself. And Vanessa Logan, who has returned to Gold Valley. He once saved her life, and he's never forgotten about her. Then we have Wild Ride Cowboy Alex Donnelly, who never wanted to put down roots in Copper Ridge. He's a veteran who inherited his friend's ranch, apparently. And this also follows Clara, who didn't ask for a hero to ride in and fix her ranch in her life. All she wants is the one thing stubborn, honorable Alex is reluctant to give: a chance to explore their intense chemistry. Ooh la la. Then we have Tough Luck Hero. This is Copper Ridge. This one follows Colton West and Lydia, who is the Copper Ridge mayor. This one is actually my mom's, but I am borrowing it because I want to read it. It's called First Lady. She is the widow of the President of the United States, and she thought she was free of the White House, but circumstances have forced her back into the role of First Lady. Not for long though, because she's made up her mind to escape. She wants to live like an ordinary person and needs the perfect disguise. That one looks so fun, and my mom says it's really funny, so I trust it. Then we have Just Down the Road. Tench Turner lost his wife and he gave up on living. He's a brooder. He drinks, he brawls, but then he lands himself in the ER and he finds himself staring up at a beautiful new doctor in town, and he feels a spark for Addison. But she wants nothing to do with him, or any man. She's only going to be in harmony for 4 months, but then a vulnerable little boy barrels into both of their lives, forcing them out of the past and into a future where love is just down the road. Then we have Little Women. I don't love this cover and the writing is horrendously small, but I think I'll get through it. I love being able to hold it like this and go like this. It's so satisfying. 4 sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, in 19th century New England in the shadow of Civil War, sharing joys, hardships, dreams, and disappointment, poverty, adult responsibility, different personalities, and the transition from girlhood to womanhood. Second opinion. No idea. Just saw it and picked it up at the secondhand bookstore. Lousy in bed was she. What Dr. Charlotte Hamilton needed was a second opinion. Her ex-husband had hurled insults at her the moment their divorce was final, and the blow to the attractive doctor's self-esteem left her wanting to prove him wrong. Drowning her sorrows in a margarita, she found herself flirting with the sandy-haired hunk at the bar. She wasn't the one-night stand type, but suddenly they were in a hotel room where with his expert touch and stunningly sexy body, he proved her anything but lousy. Then we have Devil in Disguise by Lisa Kleypas. How pretty is that? It kind of reminds me of the selection covers. Another addition to the Devil series. Lord St. Vincent has finally been caught by a rebellious girl who couldn't be less suitable. In fact, she wants nothing to do with him. But he finds the high-spirited Pandora irresistible. Ooh. Then we have, again, The Magic by Lisa Kleypas. Lady Aline Marsden was brought up to basically have an advantageous marriage, but she falls in love with a worker on her father's estate. I guess becomes pregnant potentially, or John was sent away and Aline was left in the countryside as an exile, and so he's made his fortune and he's come back to take revenge on the family, but then apparently their love has still been aflame this whole time. So he has to decide if he wants to take revenge or if he wants to ignite their passion once again. Then we have the Mortal Instrument series. So we have City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. I have already read these 3, but I will be reading them again because I'm probably going to be reading the entire world of that. And then we have City of Fallen Angels. I'm hoping to get City of Lost Souls and City of Heavenly Fire in paperback eventually, but right now we have them in hardback. That follows the Mortal Instrument series. In this series, there is a group of people who are part angel, part human. They are fighting off the demons that come into the real world, and so they have like these rune marks that give them special powers to fight off these demons and the bad angels. Okay, next in this series, Magnus Bane is present in this series, but he's like an immortal warlock or something like that. So this shares some of his stories of his life before then and during then. Then we have book 1 and book 3 of the Infernal Devices. I obviously need to get book 2. This is also in the same world as these books. It's a prequel to the Mortal Instrument series, so I guess it's a little bit more historical, whereas these ones are a little more modern and contemporary. I have a few books right here that have not been hauled yet. I'm not going to go too into depth about them because I do still want to include them in my next haul whenever that may be. So we have Shipwrecked, which is about these actors who end up having a one-night stand and then end up working on TV series together for like the next 6 years. So whenever it finishes, the main actor is determined to show the actress that like they deserve to have their romance. Oh, also look at this artwork. Is it not stunning? Can you see that the effort put into this video is getting less and less because I'm getting tired? Then we have Honey Don't List. I don't know, I just read like the first chapter and was like dying laughing. I really like when they have taglines because then I can just read the tagline instead of putting in the work. Carrie has worked for Melissa and Rusty Tripp for a decade. She helped start their first store and has helped them build an empire. The only problem is America's favorite couple can't stand each other. And then there's James McCann. He's an engineering genius and he was hired, but the job is not what he thought, and his last straw is that he and Carrie must go on a book tour with the Tripps and keep the wheels from falling off their proverbial bus. What made me very interested in this is like literally the first page of the book is them giving a statement to the police about why Melissa and Rusty are like being arrested. Okay, then we have Angelina Frankenstein Makes Her Match. I heard this is kind of like a backwards story of Frankenstein's sister. She wants to make her perfect match, and so she brings someone to life, but then he can't remember if he had a family or a wife or children or anything like that. So even though she makes this person to bring them to life to love her, he is still like very honorable. Then we have You Deserve Each Other. I've heard really fun things about this, how it is a second chance romance and how it doesn't have a third act breakup, because the third act breakups, man, they get to me and they bother me, even though I'll continue to read them, of course, because like I'm a sucker. When your nemesis also happens to be your fiance, Happily Ever After becomes a lot more complicated in this wickedly funny lovers to enemies to lovers romantic comedy debut. Then we have Love in the Time of Serial Killers. I listened to this author speak on Melissa Myers, the Happy Writer podcast. I have talked about it quite a few times, but I will leave it linked down below, and it sounded really funny. I loved the concept of it and how it sounded, because it does sound like a thriller, but it's not. It's a romance, but it's a little bit like darker, I suppose. One woman is going to have to learn to give love a second chance. She's low-key convinced that her new neighbor, Sam Dennings, is a serial killer. It's not long before Phoebe realizes that Sam might be something much scarier, a genuinely nice guy who can pierce her armor to reach her vulnerable heart. Then we have Fury Born, which I have been wanting to read for ages. And then it was on the like buy one get one half off shelf. I read the first, like the entire first chapter, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hooked. Two young women centuries apart hold the power to either save their world or doom it. Basically, we have parallel timelines of two women who have prophecies about them. Their timelines are much different, and so it goes on their adventures and their journeys and how their stories intersect. That made it sound so much more tame than it is, but it looks like it's gonna be like really wild. Then we have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute. I've heard really great things about so far. It says, could you brave the wilderness with your highly suspicious and unfairly cute ex-best friend? Bradley and Celine used to be best friends until Brad decided he was too cool for the conspiracy theory obsessed Celine and literally abandoned her for the popular kids table. So when Celine signs up for the 2-part survival course in the woods, she definitely doesn't expect to find Brad right beside her. Forced to work together for the chance to win the grand prize, Celine and Bradley must trudge through not just mud and dirt, but their messy past. It sounds so cute. I love like the whole wilderness aspect of it, and I love friends to lovers. Second chance romance has really been going up on my list of book tropes that I love. Last from that stack, we have The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. I have read Mr. Wrong Number, which I really enjoyed, and this is the second book in that world. Technically, they can be read as standalones, but if you read Mr. Wrong Number, then you will recognize some of their characters in this book. Two people make a wager on who can find love first. Not realizing what they should be betting on is each other. Hallie Piper decides to become a full-on adult. She gets a new apartment, a new haircut, a new wardrobe, and when she logs onto a dating app determined to find new love, she comes across none other than Jack Marshall, the guy whose room she snuck out of in the hotel recently. Oh my gosh. But they realize that they're perfect wing people for each other, and so they help them search for the one. They talk about their dates, often scheduling at the same restaurant that each other is on the date with, so that like their dates are coinciding. And then if things don't work out, they can get tacos afterwards. They get a lot of tacos. Oh my gosh, this looks so cute. We have the Wings of Fire series by Tweety Sutherland. I have this whole stack here right, but I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So here's 7 up here. And then it's like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This one is about an ice wing dragon named Winter, I believe. It's a fun time. I really enjoy them. I need to get back into them. They're fast, easy reads too. Each one has fun, different personalities, different backstories, and the art is amazing. Okay, y'all, here is my final stack of books. Here I am right there. Hello. So first we have my most recent purchase, which I purchased in Nashville with my bestie, 7 Days in June. Apparently it's a second chance romance where these two are authors or writers, and they used to be really close and then grew apart, and then 7 Days in June they end up getting together. Then we have Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This book is about a meteorologist whose boss said that she would kind of help her get up and coming, and then the guy, his boss, is the ex-wife of her boss, so they try to get together and get their bosses back together, and then they end up getting to know each other more. They both die at the end is a dystopian society where you get a notification on the day that you're gonna die. You don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know why. This story is about two boys who get the notification on the same day, and they kind of end up hanging out together and becoming friends on their last day and getting up to adventures. Then we have A Tailor-Made Bride, which is based in Texas. There is this tailor woman who is moving into town, and this guy wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Hi, Zori. Say hi. Oh my goodness. What are you barking at? You want to say hi to everyone? Everyone say hi to Zori. Why are you barking? Tell everyone how you feel about my books. Oh. They're pretty cool, huh? Anywho, Tailor Made Bride is about a tailor who moves into the small Texas town. The dude does not like that. He thinks she's shallow because she makes beautiful things, and then the woman ends up helping his sister find a match. And so the two of them end up getting to know each other a little bit more. So this girl ends up walking away from her town, from her history, from everyone she knows, and doesn't talk to anyone, leaves it all behind. But then her best friend comes back and she has to kind of open up and reveal all of those things that made her leave. Then we have The Final Offer, which is the third and final book in the Dreamland Billionaire series. It's the middle brother, Cal, and to gain his inheritance, he must do something that his grandfather told him to do in his will. Second chance romance, friends to lovers situation. Then we have The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This girl needs a date to a family wedding in Spain, and her boss, who she thinks is her nemesis, offers to go with her. Then we have Stars Collide, which is about two actors who are in love and trying to keep their relationship under wraps, but then when sparks fly on the screen, does everyone find out that they're together? Then we have You've Reached Sam, which is about a girl and a boy who fall in love in high school, and then Sam dies tragically, and then Jenny is trying to get over Sam and walk through her grief, but then she calls his phone and she can talk to him on the phone. Then we have Evie Drake Starts Over. Evie Drake is a widow, and so she goes to this estate to escape and get away from everything, but then so does Dean, who is a baseball pitcher who has the yips, so they both go to this estate to get away from everything. Then we have The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This guy is a celebrity and someone is stalking him, and this is his fake girlfriend slash bodyguard, especially when he's with his family. They get to know each other and crazy things ensue. Then we have Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas. Honestly, I have no idea what any of her books are about, but I just like still want to read them anyway. And this is about Kev and Winifred. Then we have Icebreaker, which is about two college students. One is an ice skater and one is a hockey player. Something happens to one of their ice skating rinks and they end up having to do the same ice skating rink together. And then these are library books. Wow, oh my gosh, I think that's all of the physical books that I own that are on my TBR that I have not read yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Literally probably said like over thousands and thousands and thousands of words in just a few hours, and my brain kind of hurts a little bit. So I'm gonna go and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone. Sending you good vibes.